Labour are ditching radical reforms as it prepares a bomb-proof election manifesto. I'm going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline that Labour are ditching radical reforms as it prepares to bomb-proof the election manifesto. Plans to reform social care and the House of Lords are trimmed as Keir Starmer's party opts for caution ahead of the vote. Guys, before I give my initial thoughts, if you can hit the like button and share this across social media so others are aware of this video. So, obviously, this manifesto, when it finally comes out, when the election is finally called, it's going to be an interesting one to say the least, guys. People want to know what Labour are really thinking, what they're really going to commit to, because they can say whatever they like really at this at this moment in time. And the reason why I say that is because they're not in power, and I totally understand a lot of people, and even myself. I have been very critical of Labour and some of the things, that policies and decisions that they have made, such as the bankers' bonus cap. They're not going to be bringing that back, for example. My hope is that they U-turn on that, but I don't know. The other thing as well about the Green Pledge Investment Fund, they haven't said that they're scrapping it, but the amount of money investment that they're going to be is something that's going to be something that's going to be consistently being debated. But there's been lots of talk about that as well. And I'm thinking, is Labour ready for this? Are they ready to lead? Are they ready to take this country forward? Well, if you guys didn't see, I did a video on Monday, an interesting one, guys, and I'll put a link in the description about bankers' bonuses U-turn, or bankers' bonuses basically having an influence within the Labour Party. So I also am hoping that unions still have a strong influence within Labour. As well as to help counteract the much influence that's coming from hedge funds, from finances, and those within the Labour Party, because I really am concerned about where Labour are going. And do I trust this man, Keir Starmer? As of right now, no, I do not. But if I have to choose right now between Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, I know where I'm going to pick, guys. And I totally understand many people's positions about how we can't trust Labour, and you're right, can't trust Labour. But what are we supposed to do here? You know, we can't push for proportional representation right now. We can't push for some of the things that we really want right now until Labour are in power, and we will on this channel, and I know other people will be holding Labour to the fire, and rightly so, if they do win a majority. But it'll be interesting to see this manifesto and what they're actually going to put in their pledges. It also says here as well that they're ditching radical reforms, and that was something that Jeremy Corbyn had back in 2019 as well. I think that's important to remember ourselves, that Labour had under Jeremy Corbyn. And I'll be frank with you guys, I thought Jeremy Corbyn had some great policies. I remember listening to them all, and it was a real radical change that he had proposed at the time. The problem was Brexit, and the other biggest problem was anti-Semitism, and he never challenged that, he never addressed that. And that was one of my biggest gripes that I had with Jeremy Corbyn, which is why in the end I didn't vote for Labour in 2019. I certainly didn't vote Conservative, but I think if he had dealt with anti-Semitism, perhaps things would have been different. But it's easy for us to talk back now and say he should have done this and this and that. But Labour, I do think that they will want to do radical reforms, but they won't do it just yet. They will. My hope is that within their first term, they will make a case to make radical reforms in order to benefit the country as a whole after being in power for a good couple of years. Now, obviously, the other problem that we have is one of the things that I really, really, really want Labour to push in when they get into power, and I don't want them to say it in their manifesto actually, is media reform, the Leveson inquiry. I really want them to clamp down on media reform and really push it down on it, because one of the problems that we have is we have many media outlets, many newsers who are having an agenda, and it needs to stop. And they need to stop poisoning the minds of people within this country. And if you can stop media's having too much influence and too much control and dictation over the public's perception of political parties, things can get a hell of a lot better in the whole of the UK. So I really hope that there is, at some point, Labour look at reforming the media of some sorts, but whether they will be able to do that in this first act, I don't think so. But I'm hoping that if they get into power, they will have serious discussions behind it, and that Labour will back it and they will push it through. And the media can do nothing except scream and shout and cry and throw their toys out the pram while their influence over the public gets taken away, because they have too much influence, some of the media out there, and I think it needs to be put on a leash, if I'm honest, guys. But there are many things that we want, like reforms to the House of Lords. Having a body that we pay into, that for these people who we don't even elect. I think that's another problem. The Houses of Parliament itself, we have a speaker who cannot even control people who blatantly lie in the House, and you can't challenge them and call them a liar, and they keep on calling themselves honourable when so many in that House are anything but honourable. It's quite pathetic, really. It really is quite pathetic. So that House needs changing as well. I don't think it's the case that Sir Lindsay Hoyle is spineless and weak. I think it's the case is just because he's limited by what he can do. I generally think that things need to change in terms of what kind of powers the Speaker has in that House as well. There needs to be massive reform of change there. And of course, guys, in the long term, proportional representation is something that we most definitely need here in England. It will be a massive game changer if we were to get that here. But there's a lot of people in Labour will not want that, and there will also be those who are gaining influence within Labour. They will not want that too, because they know what that will lead to, and that will lead to the rise of other parties, the rise of Reform, the rise of the Greens, being able to have a say in our democracy, which is better, because we don't want one party ruling all. We want I don't think that you guys want just one party ruling all. I think having multiple parties, coalition parties, forces them to work together for the benefit of the people. But we'll see. Anyway, let's read into this, guys. So, hope you found my thoughts interesting, to say the least. So, Labour is planning only limited first-term reforms of social care and the Houses of Lords, and a smaller green investment plan as part of its stripped-down general election manifesto, as it seeks to make its policies bomb-proof to Tory attacks. No matter what they put in that election manifesto, the Tories and the Conservative, the right wing, are going to do everything they can to make it, to destroy it. They will look for the tiniest, the littlest, and minute of details and blow it up out of proportion in front of on the likes of GB News, on the LBC, and anyone will look at the tiniest and minute details of Labour's manifesto commitments and pledges, the tiniest of wordings, and they will blow it up out of proportion. Any of it looks like anything that's going to be an affront to the British public. They're going to do that. There's no getting around that. Labour shadow cabinet ministers have given until the 8th of February to make policy submissions for that manifesto. As Keir Starmer's party gears up for an election that, according to opinion polls, look likely to return to government for the first time since 2010. A committee of shadow ministers and officials will then assess which commitments will require legislation in a King's speech that will be delivered within weeks of entering office. The party intends to have both documents ready by mid-March in case Rishi Sunak calls an early spring polling. An observer understands as well as backing away from its £28 billion a year commitment on green investment. This exclusive that they have, you guys can hear my thoughts about that on Patreon, guys. It's for free on Patreon. I did a video commenting about that exclusive from The Guardian. Labour will not seek to legislate on the creation of a new national care service in its first King's speech. Instead, it will focus on fair pay agreement for care workers as well as an issue of recruitment and retention as part of a wider working rights bill. Its plans for a complete overhaul of social care will, however, be presented as a long-term mission to tackle the 10 years, at least 10 years and 2 parliaments. In addition, despite Keir Starmer previously promised to abolish the Lords in the first term, he is expected to commit to only limited changes. This is likely to mean legislating only for the abolishment of the remaining 91 heritage peers. Labour's cautious approach, which is frustrating some MPs and party members, is partly the result of an uncertainty about the economic situation it will inherit and what can be afforded. But shadow ministers are also determined to offer a small as target as possible to the Tories on the issue of social care, which in the past has turned election campaigns upside down. In 2010, Labour's care plans were branded a death tax by the Conservatives and hit by the party's vote badly, while in 2017 Theresa May's campaign suffered irreparable damage amid accusations she was planning a dementia tax. Yeah, see the way they can twist and turn the tiniest of things into making it look like, oh, look at this death tax they're going to be getting, or this dementia tax, and it's just like the wording and phrasing can really manipulate people into thinking that it's one thing and it's not. On social care, Starmer's party has rallied the unions behind a more gradual approach. Unison General Secretary Christina Malaya told the Observer, "Care is in crisis and need for a national service has never been greater, but the sector is complex, and with many thousands of care employees, creating a new system isn't a 5-minute job." In stark contrast to literally broken promises from this government, Labour is committed to reforming care. Under proposals, fair pay agreements, wages will rise and care workers earn the same no matter where they work in England. Care jobs will immediately become more attractive, and the sector will be able to start filling the huge holes in its workforce. That will boost support for everyone needing care to begin lifting the pressure on the NHS. With its Green's Prosperity Plan now being taken down, Labour's new flagship policy is increasingly seen as its New Deal for working people, which involves handling workers' new rights from their first day of employment, as well as the abolition of zero-hour contracts. The deal fiercely guarded by Deputy Leader Angela Rayner, which also includes a ban on firing and rehiring. Yeah, Angela Rayner's keen to get rid of the zero-hour contracts and the fire and rehiring, and I'm bag on. They need to get rid of that. They need to stop businesses and that having that power over people. It's far too dangerous. It's just not just wrong in every way, shape or form. Another bill is likely to be prioritised will be the physical look that will force governments to submit all tax and spending plans to the Office of Budget Responsibilities for its judgment before pressing it ahead. The aim is to contrast Labour's commitment to physical discipline with the disastrous decision-making of the Liz Truss government, which caused near panic on the financial market. Yeah, screw that girl. She was nuts. Elsewhere, Labour's pledge to roll out breakfast clubs to every primary school in England, funded by the abolishment of the non-dom tax status, remains prominent in its manifesto. Yep, absolutely. No excuses here. I don't think no one's going to argue about the breakfast club thing. I will, when Labour's manifesto come out, I will either do a live stream or a long video looking at it in detail, guys, because I do want to really have a look in deep on what Labour are planning for the country, for all 4 nations. Sorry. There are also hopes internally that a big childcare pledge could form part of Labour's programmes in their first term, with the party keen on expanding the number of nurseries attached to primary schools to tackle the huge shortage of places and staff. The former Ofsted head, Sir David Bell, is studying the issue for Labour, but is unlikely to report in time for election before the autumn. The party's pledge to raise more tax from private equity managers is also coming for scrutiny. Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves has vowed to raise the amount changed on profits they earn on deals to match the 45p top rate of income tax. However, some in the party have said to be keen to water down the plans, fearful of deterring investment and denting Labour's pledge to make the UK the fastest growing economy in the G7 group of developed countries. Party sources said the plans remain to tax such profits as income. The manifesto will also be much of a pledge to build 300,000 homes a year, a target in the last Conservative manifesto which has not been delivered. Starmer's willingness to take on those who want to prevent any building on Grenfell sites to be used by Labour insiders to show that Labour leader is willing to take on potentially difficult battles rather than always a cautious path. I do think they need to take. I do think, in all seriousness, when it comes to the building of houses, they need to make it. They need to kind of push the emphasis on, hey, like, there's too many people out there who don't want homes built outside their gardens and whatnot. They need to give more green lights for more homes, because we need more homes. That's that's a God-given case. But not just any homes. They need to be cheaper homes, social homes, council homes. We've talked about them. 300,000 homes a year is a lot, but as many people have said, even our good friend Allschultz has highlighted a very good point. Has made a point on this too. Is that where are we going to get the workers? How are we going to get the materials? That's gonna have some of that's going to have to come from abroad, and he's right, because you need workers, and you need companies being able. Companies going to need to. They need that stuff to make it work. So are we going to have to give them incentives in order for them to build the houses, to commit to them? There's so many questions here when it comes to the housing. But some of the stuff here, obviously, some good stuff. But especially the Breakfast Club thing, I think you guys will agree with me with that thing is done. Definitely changes need to be made for the childcare. The national childcare system is something I would like to have, but I think they're being sceptical of that. Obviously, they're still planning to bring a new state-owned energy company, Great British Energy, GB Energy, or something along those lines. They haven't planned any plans to ditch that. They're still planning to commit to that, as far as I'm aware. So that's still going to be coming as well. As for terms of taxes, I think I'm going to kind of hold my breath on that one a bit closer to when the manifesto comes up, and we'll see how that comes, guys. But what do you guys think about this? Some of this bomb-proof election manifesto that's coming up. Some of the little tidbits that we've heard here today, that we've heard in this article about Labour. What do you guys make of some of them? Let me know what your thoughts are, guys, in the comment section down below. What do you think? If you found this video interesting, if you can, hit the like button, it'd be greatly appreciated, and share it across social media so other people are aware of this video. And hit the bell notification icon, guys, so you'll be notified of when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me, guys, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or sending a little super thanks down below as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you to everyone who does one of them. Thank you much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.